A little over 15 years ago, I made the bold decision to leave college behind and pursue an apprenticeship under the brilliant strategist Robert Greene. Robert is a renowned thinker, the author behind bestsellers like The 48 Laws of Power, The 33 Strategies of War, Mastery, and The Laws of Human Nature. He sold millions of copies of his books, but more importantly, he taught me how to think, how to write, and how to navigate life's complexities. He opened doors for me, even getting me a job at American Apparel, where he served on the board of directors. As I went on to write my own books and start businesses, Robert was always there, teaching, advising, answering my questions. His influence shaped the very course of my life. What people may not realize is that Robert is actually deeply connected to Stoic philosophy. His books might be filled with controversial and often harsh ideas, but behind the scenes, Robert has studied the Stoics, and it was through his guidance that I came to understand their teachings on resilience, virtue, and the nature of human strength. One of the most significant lessons Robert imparted to me was the power of the note card system. I vividly remember walking into his house soon after I started working with him, and he showed me how he meticulously organizes his research. He introduced me to the system he's been using for years to synthesize information and develop his ideas. It wasn't just about writing a book or finishing a project. It was about a lifelong process of learning, collecting, and organizing insights. Robert's note card system is what has allowed him to write such meticulously organized and deeply impactful books. It's a system that requires time, effort, and dedication, a far cry from the shortcuts of copying and pasting information from the internet. It's analog, it's manual, and it's hard work. But that's the point. The work of creating something great requires painstaking effort. It's about accumulating years of research, experiencing life, and then piecing everything together. That's what has unlocked Robert's genius, and it's what has shaped my own. The Stoics were advocates for keeping a commonplace book, a place where we record our thoughts, ideas, and reflections. Marcus Aurelius did this in his Meditations. Epictetus encouraged us to write down what we learn, reflect on it, and share it with others. This is the practice that Robert, myself, and countless others have followed, and it's one I'm so grateful to have learned. Without this system, nothing I've achieved would have been possible. Another powerful lesson I gained from Robert is the idea that the obstacle is the way. Robert often reminds me that life's challenges and difficulties are not setbacks, they are material. He once told me it's all material. Every hardship, every failure, is raw material that can be transformed into something valuable. That's the essence of being a writer and a creator, turning the worst things that happen to you into lessons, ideas, and stories that help not just you, but others too. Take Robert's own journey. For the first 40 years of his life, things didn't go as planned. He was kicked around by life, drifting from job to job, never quite finding his calling. He experienced betrayal, manipulation, and heartbreak. But all of those experiences shaped the very ideas that would eventually become the 48 Laws of Power. What others might see as failure or misfortune, Robert transformed into wisdom and power. This is where the Stoics, and especially Marcus Aurelius, come in. They believed that the greatest strength lies in how we respond to adversity. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "What you throw on top of a fire becomes fuel for the fire." This is the mindset of an artist, and it's a Stoic mindset. You transform pain into something that drives you forward. I remember when I dropped out of college, people thought I was throwing my life away. They thought I'd regret it. But deep down, I knew that working directly under a great writer like Robert Greene was exactly what I needed. Robert often talks about how every great artist must undergo a long apprenticeship. To become a master, you must first learn from someone who has mastered the craft. This idea has guided my own path. When I worked with Robert, it wasn't easy or particularly lucrative, but the real value lay in the access I had to his world, the ability to ask him questions and watch him work. It wasn't just about getting paid in money, it was about getting paid in knowledge and experience. If Robert asked me to research something today, I would drop everything to do it, because I know I would learn something valuable from seeing how he thinks and works. This experience taught me one of the most important lessons of all. Find a mentor who's ahead of you, someone who can be your model, your ruler, as Seneca would say. Without a ruler, you can't make crooked things straight. Robert was my ruler. He was the standard by which I measured myself, and his teachings helped straighten me out. This apprenticeship, which began when I was 18 or 19, has lasted until today. I still learn from Robert on a daily basis, and I'm lucky to have had that experience. Of course, when I first dropped out of college, I was terrified. I didn't know if it would work, but I had faith in my decision. I knew that becoming a writer and learning directly from someone like Robert was the fastest way to master the craft. As Robert teaches in his books, entering action with boldness is key. That lesson of boldness, acting before you're ready, has stuck with me, and it's something I've applied to everything I do. So, to anyone out there questioning their own path, wondering if they should take that leap or pursue a different route, take it from me, the journey will be harder than you expect, and the process will take longer than you want. But it's worth it. Find your mentor, immerse yourself in the apprenticeship, and above all, remember that every obstacle can be transformed into fuel for your fire. There was a time when I felt unsure, when I wondered if I should play it safe, just keep things small and steady. I hesitated, thinking maybe I could just handle things on the side without fully committing. But deep down, I knew I had to make a bold move, take a real risk, bet on myself. That's when Robert came into the picture. His work, his philosophy, gave me the confidence to go for it. I remember a moment during lunch when he mentioned needing a research assistant. Without thinking, I immediately said, "I'll do it. I'll work for free." But Robert wouldn't let me do that. He insisted that no one should work for him without being compensated, but more importantly, he saw potential in me. He believed in me, and that belief pushed me to take a chance on myself, to step into something bigger. Sometimes, the right thing to do is to take action even when you're not fully prepared. That's what the Stoic virtue of courage is all about, acting despite your fear. If something were safe, guaranteed, or easy, everyone would do it. But it's the risk, the leap into the unknown, that leads to growth and success. One of Robert's most important lessons that has stuck with me is the idea that success is not immediate, it's a lagging indicator. Creativity and achievement are the results of years of unseen hard work. The first few decades of Robert's life might have seemed like they were going nowhere, but behind the scenes, he was reading, thinking, learning, observing. It all came together when he pitched the 48 Laws of Power in Italy. That moment marked the birth of his monumental success, but it wasn't random. It was the culmination of everything that came before. When I was offered my first book deal, Robert told me I wasn't ready. He encouraged me to put in more work, to gather more experience before diving in. Turning down that deal was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but he was right. The timing had to be right. The apprenticeship, the time spent honing my skills, it all mattered. When I finally released The Obstacle Is the Way, it wasn't just a book, it was the result of years of hard, sometimes painful work. Had I rushed it, it wouldn't have been the same. At the heart of Robert's teachings is strategy, not manipulation, as some might think, but the art of controlling your emotions, stepping back to see the bigger picture. Stoicism is about mastering yourself, not the world around you. It's about commanding your own reactions, understanding cause and effect, and thinking several moves ahead. It's the opposite of being reactive or emotional, stuck in what Robert calls tactical hell. Stoicism, in a sense, helps you escape that chaos by teaching you how to think strategically. Robert often reminds me not to cling too tightly to a rigid view of the world. Stoicism is not about being inflexible or trying to force life into a set of rules. Rather, it's about adapting, being flexible, and adjusting to circumstances as they arise. Marcus Aurelius, despite his immense power, practiced this flexibility. He understood that life doesn't always unfold as we expect, and rigidity leads to frustration and failure. In fact, Robert's own teachings reflect this idea. The 48 Laws of Power, particularly the law about never outshining. The master, might seem contradictory when you consider Robert's role as a mentor. But what's powerful about Robert's work is that he doesn't just lay down rules. He shows us the patterns of human behavior and power dynamics. He helps us prepare for what's likely to happen, whether we agree with it or not, and how to navigate it with wisdom and tact. What has impressed me most about Robert is how much of a selfless supporter he's been in my career. He's helped me get started, introduced me to key people, and offered advice at every turn. His encouragement has been invaluable, and he's been genuinely invested in my success, even when it meant answering questions about me in interviews when the focus should have been on his own work. Robert's the perfect example of how to navigate life strategically, not just by knowing the rules, but by practicing generosity, self-awareness, and the willingness to help others succeed. And that, to me, is a true measure of mastery. He understands the boundaries of what's possible, yet chooses to hold himself to a higher standard than the typical strategies of power that people often follow. His conduct, the principles he embodies, go far beyond mere manipulation or control. It's rooted in something more virtuous. I've always tried to carry that same spirit forward, whether with the people I work with, mentors, or those I guide. It's a mindset that encourages strength, but also genuine decency in all our interactions. One thing Robert Greene exemplifies is the relentless discipline that drives his work ethic. Despite his remarkable success, he remains humble and steadfast, working long hours without self-indulgence. He doesn't seek the comforts that others might after achieving success. Instead, Robert invests years into researching and refining his books. The discipline that's led him to create works that will endure for generations is awe-inspiring. I watched him work tirelessly on the laws of human nature, even when it took a toll on his health. In fact, he has said that the immense pressure of finishing that book led to a stroke. Yet, he didn't let it break him. He underwent grueling rehab to get back on his feet, determined to ensure his book would reach the world. And it became his fastest-selling work. There's no one who works harder or stays more disciplined than Robert Greene. He doesn't allow distractions to pull him away from his mission. He could easily be making millions sitting on corporate boards, but he chooses to dedicate his life to his craft, research, and writing. That's what has shaped his legacy, and it's what inspires me to follow a similar path. I remember when I was contemplating leaving my job and becoming a writer. I had lunch with Robert in Silver Lake, Los Angeles. I shared my desire to leave American Apparel and take the leap into something new. He listened, then said something that would change my life. There are two types of time in life, lifetime and dead time. Dead time is when you just let the days pass without purpose, waiting for a set date to come when you're free to pursue your passions. Lifetime, on the other hand, is when every moment is lived with intent. It's about making the most of each minute, learning, meeting people, reading, planning, turning every second into a valuable experience. That advice stuck with me. I wrote it down on a card and pinned it to my wall. Over time, that simple phrase, alive time versus dead time, became a core principle in how I lived my life. It influenced not only my career, but also how I view every moment. Robert also shared the story of Malcolm X, who used his time in prison to transform himself by reading and learning, turning what many would see as wasted time into a profound opportunity for growth. The truth is, anything can become a lifetime. It's not about where you are or what you're doing, but about how you choose to use that time. Whether it's a delay at the airport or a long workday, if you approach it with purpose, it becomes an opportunity to learn, grow, and connect. When I left my job, I didn't just suddenly leap into uncertainty. The work I had done during the previous year, the alive time I'd created, was my safety net. That year of research, reading, and relationships gave me the foundation to stand on when I made that leap. But life can change in an instant. I received one of the most heart-wrenching calls of my life when Robert told me he had suffered a stroke. In that moment, I realized how fragile life is. Robert, a man who had fought so hard for his work, his health, and his family, could have been taken from us in the blink of an eye. It's a reminder of the Stoic idea of memento mori, remembering that we are mortal, that life is fleeting, and that we should live it fully while we can. The beauty in Robert's life is that he lived it to the fullest. He didn't leave anything on the table. His legacy is one of profound work, resilience, and unwavering discipline. Watching him recover from such a devastating event has only deepened my admiration for him. It's proof that adversity doesn't define you, it's how you respond to it. As I reflect on his journey, I realize that life is too short to waste time. Robert's journey has shown me that no matter how difficult things get, it's how you choose to use each moment that matters. It's a powerful lesson in living with intention, in building a legacy that will last, and in facing life's challenges with the same discipline and courage that Robert Greene exemplifies. For anyone looking for inspiration, Robert Greene's example is a powerful one. Use every moment of your life as an opportunity to grow and live purposefully.